What's good, everybody? Nate Holloway here once again with another episode of A Father's Authority. Guys, I just thank you guys for tuning in over these last few weeks and for letting me know you're here and showing me the love. But guys, tonight we got a great interview. But first, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, A Father's Authority is a part of Kingdom Relationships, and we are here to change the narrative on fatherhood, to change fatherlessness, and get fathers back into the lives of their children. And tonight, I got a special episode for you guys because tonight I have my friend, my sister in Christ, Evangelist Charity Fisher, and we're talking about fatherhood from a daughter's perspective. We've been talking about it from a father's perspective, from a man's perspective, from a perspective of a son having a father. But I want to talk to you guys from you guys hear it from a daughter's perspective, because so many times fathers don't know how to relate to their daughters. And what better way to hear it than from a daughter? So I got my friend Evangelist Charity Fisher on tonight, and she's a executive pastor. She's a preacher. Will preach, preach, preach. She's a singer. I might have her sing a few bars tonight for you guys. But let's get it started. Let's get at it with my friend Charity Fisher. Hey, Charity.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I cannot complain.
I hear that. So glad to have you on tonight. As I told everybody, we're talking about fatherhood. From a daughter's perspective. Like I said,
Yeah.
so many times we hear it from a man's perspective. We hear it from the perspective of a son, but we never hear a lot of times of a daughter talking about what she wants from her father, what she needs from her father, how she wants to be treated from her father. And I think fathers need to hear that so they can maybe go back and, we can help someone tonight. So, Charity, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hello, everybody. Again, I am Reverend Dr. Charity Fisher, born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia. Let's see, I am not only do I serve in ministry, but I am a PK. At my church, I serve as the executive pastor and the minister of music. I play the keyboard and have done so for about 21 years. Yeah, long time, long time.
She
Uh,
started when you were two.
Look, right, exactly. Look, I know I look fairly young, and I appreciate that. And I am young, but sometimes there's a major gap with how old people think I really am as what the real deal is. Oh, but yeah, so let's see. I have siblings as well, both brothers and sisters. Um Let's see. I currently serve as an 11th grade English teacher at IC Norcom High School in Portsmouth. I've been teaching virtually during this pandemic, and in a little while, I'm looking forward to going back in the building, not with the students necessarily, but just kind of that transition that we're preparing to take. And then also, I guess for those of you who are not following me on social media, I am coming to the end of my doctoral journey at Chicago Theological Seminary. I
Congrats.
defended my doctoral thesis last week, so on May 14th, I am looking to walk across the virtual stage and receive what I have worked so hard to have. So, God is faithful.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Speaking of IC Norcom, I was a substitute teacher there for a little bit back in maybe 2014.
Oh wow,
So those kids at Norcom, whoo, Jesus, Lord have mercy.
they are
Ah,
blessed and highly favored, aren't they?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but they're good. But they got good teachers like you there, so we know that everything is
Thank
good. Yeah.
you,
So
sis.
uh, so I know you mentioned your father, so I know you had your father in your life growing up. Tell me, how was life growing up with your dad?
Oh my. Growing up, I take joy. Let me just say this first before I start my discussion about this topic. I take joy, and I'm grateful to God that I'm able to, have joy about this discussion. I grew up as a daddy's girl,
Okay.
so Ah, man. It was it was a beautiful, and life-changing experience to have my father. I don't know otherwise, but let me just give you or spell out what that looked like. So growing up, I went everywhere with my father. Let's just see. I mean, I looked up to him, whatever, he was a preacher when I was a little girl. He wasn't pastoring yet, but he was still in ministry underneath at another church. And so, I looked up to him and I always wanted to be around him. But let me just go into a little bit more detail about that. I had the kind of father who just not the, well, let me just say this, not just a father who would let me sit up under him on the couch when he would watch TV, but I had the kind of father who, um, would go to Walmart or Kmart at that time
Kmart.
and would get me press on nails. And my dad, and I'm not being funny. My dad is all man. There's no question about his masculinity, but he knew what I was interested in as a little girl and those things that I wanted and whatever. Not
Mm,
I won't say whatever, but for the most part, I think, kids can be pretty simple, not all the time, but a lot of the times you can kind of please them with very simple things. So um I used to wear press-ons when I as a little girl, and he would go and buy those for me. I had the kind of father where I was very creative as a little child, and I never forget the times where my dad would literally I used to want to pretend that I was on TV. He took a cardboard box and listen, so y'all know this is throwback, but he was just as creative. It was like, well, if he didn't have the money to go, I don't know. I don't even think that it may have existed, but it wasn't in the area where they had like a TV that I could sit in and
uh,
pretend. So he used his creativity, with that black tape and outlined it and made antennas. I had the I'm telling you, I had the kind of father who was very much involved. So to the point, and I know he don't mind sharing this, even when I was in middle school and high school and started wearing weave. I don't mind saying this up, on saying this openly. He would buy my weave for me. I would tell him, Daddy, go to Junior Market and get me, a 16 a 16-inch 1B. Make sure it's a 1B. And no lie. And he would go and get it for me. He was just so
did he come
instrumental.
back with the right length, the right one?
Listen, to the T, to the T, and would have my look. He would have my Snicker bars and my Pepsis, and my hair. I mean, he was just, I mean, just an excellent, loving, because it wasn't just about the things, but my point is, with mentioning what he did, it just showed how interested and involved he was in my life to,
Hmm.
care and consideration for the things that interested me. He covered me with prayer constantly. My dad is a prayer warrior. He's all, as far as I can remember, he's always been a prayer warrior. Everyone would be sleeping in the house and he would be walking around praying. So I grew up with a praying father, a father that wanted me to enjoy life. When I had cheer practice, he would take me to my cheering practice. He was very present. If I can sum that up, he was very present for my orchestra concerts in middle school and high school. He was there, even down to college. When I went to Elizabeth City State University, and we would have our choir concerts. And for those who are not really into like operatic music, that can be a it can be a drag sometimes to sit through those concerts because they're not like 30 minutes. They're like
Right.
some change. And so, but my dad, he would get my uncle and sometimes my mom, based on her work schedule, she would come and they both would sit there and be engaged. And so that's why I said I take joy. I'm grateful that I can take joy in talking about this because of the influence. When you think about authority, that word authority,
Hmm.
influence, and the impact that my father had in my life. I guess I'll just add this too because I don't want to talk too long, but
I know you good.
I was sheltered, very protected. So while my brothers could hang out and go everywhere, that wasn't my story. But I will say this: they gave me a great replacement. Since I couldn't, go out and hang out in the streets with the rest of the kids. Um, yeah, like the nails and the videos, whatever I wanted to watch. As far as the cartoons and Disney
Uh-huh.
movies, or age appropriate movies. They my father and my mother, but my father specifically, made sure I had exactly what I need to keep me company while I was in the house, just kind of remaining sheltered and protected. Yeah. So it was just, it has been a life changing experience. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So how did that influence you as becoming a young lady, growing up as an adult, with your father being there, being present? Because some fathers, some men won't go to the store and get the leaf pressed on nails. Some men won't go to the store
Yeah.
and get the hair. Some men, there's that's your mother's job. That's your mother's job. Your
Right.
mother's supposed
Right.
to do that. Some men won't do it because they're not comfortable doing that. But
Right.
what did that do for you as a
Oh,
young lady, for your dad being willing to do those things for you and participate in all of your things in your life like that, to that
wow.
level?
So, if I may say, and I hope this helps some father or even parent as I say this. So I could not really see. Now, here's the thing: it played a role the entire time in my development, but I don't believe I could. I was really able to see the impact until like my late 20s.
Okay.
Um, and so here's and the reason why I break that down is because parents and fathers specifically, they sow, they do, and sometimes you want your child to recognize it, you want them to see it, you want them to appreciate it, and I appreciate it, but I was not able to appreciate it to the point where I was able to say, well, I know when I get married, I'm going to be, I already know what
Mhm.
I'm looking for. I couldn't really say that until like my late 20s. So,
Okay.
because I'll say this in my teens, I was all about myself, all about, growing. And at that point, it was more so looking at what my father approved of, looking what he didn't approve of, and still trying to own, my own authority at the time. So just being honest, you go through that
Right.
stage where I mean, you got good parents, but sometimes I'm not gonna say that doesn't make a difference. But when you have your mindset on how you want to vibe and flow in life,
Right.
it's you don't really see it until hindsight. And so for me, I can say this. So let me say this: I can say this looking back, I could rely on my father.
Okay.
So with that being said, I did not necessarily rely on other men in college or boyfriends per se. Now, granted, I did have an expectation of my boyfriend at the time,
Mhm.
to fulfill his role, but I wasn't lost for things. I didn't want or need for anything.
That's good.
And so because of that, I didn't go searching for, well, who was going to pay my bill and who was going to, look out for me in this way. If anything, when I was into dating, it was just strictly for love,
Mhm.
the gifts and things, that's nice, but because my dad, and looking back in hindsight, because he poured so much into me, I really did not have to search and look for, I guess, things that I would want from my father in a man. I didn't have to look for that. And then as I got older, I was like, wow, so I know not to settle, because if my father could provide for me in this way, um,
Mhm.
yeah, I know there's certain things I'm not going to tolerate from anyone who just wants to talk to me, as far as dating
Right.
is concerned. So it was progressive, but it took time for me to get to that point where I could see the impact. But now just talking about it, I can see that it was slow, but it was there. It was
Yeah.
there. Kind of I guess kind of covert or a subconscious in a way. Like I'm
Gotcha.
acting, I don't know that this really has impact on me, but I'm acting it out. It really does, it really does have impact on me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, make sense. You said something, you said about when you didn't want for anything. So when you dated someone, you didn't go in that relationship dating because you needed something or you needed them to provide you with anything. And that got me to thinking, because a lot of fathers, some fathers may be listening, may say, well, I can't provide, I don't, I'm not financially able to provide those things for my daughter. But the thing is, what I'm realizing and talking to you, and what I realize as a father, it's not about how much money or
No.
financial you can provide her, because if you provide that security, that structure, that
Yes. Yes.
love, that wisdom, then that's what she's going to look for in a man. And it's not about what he can buy her.
Yeah.
He may be able to buy her everything, but it's not going to be about that. It's going to be about what he can do for her emotionally, what he can do for her
Right.
spiritually. I talk about my story with my wife. like my wife's father, he provided structure for my wife. He took care of her. He provided things. When I remember we first got married, we were talking, and I tell our story all the time. My wife said we were in the car one day. She said, "I've always had $1,000 in a bank account." Her dad told her
Wow.
that.
Wow.
I said, "Babe, I've never had $1,000 in the bank account." So, two different worlds. But and so when my wife met me, I had nothing.
Hmm.
But because she would learn, she knew what to look for in a man for what she wanted. It wasn't about the finance, and the finance was important, but
Right.
it wasn't just about the finance, about what I could provide because she could provide for herself. But
Hmm.
I brought something more than just financial. I
Hmm.
brought, that spiritual, that
Yeah.
integrity, that that character and things. And that's what, guys, dads, if you're listening, it's not all about what you can do financially. Now, financially is needed for our kids, but if you can't do it over and above like some dads do it financially, you do what you can do to
Yes.
make sure that your children, your daughter is taken care of. But what she really needs is your love,
Yeah.
your words of wisdom,
Yes.
your presence, and
Yes.
being there. Am I right, Charity?
I
My
was just
daughter.
gonna just jump back in there because you nailed it. Presence matters. Oh my gosh. And I was just thinking back as you were talking, just when I would, I played the violin in elementary school up until middle, and then middle I switched over to chorus. But at every concert, I can look out because y'all listen, don't forget it, or let me say this, don't minimize your child's expectations for your presence in their life. Like they look for it, and I
Mhm.
never forget when used to have to when I used to participate in the orchestra concerts. I used to peep over to see if saw a familiar face, and my dad would be right there in the audience. It was just that, and then I felt like, oh, he came, and
Mhm.
it just lit me up. And so, fathers and parents out there, it's like, just know that, even if you're not at home, because there are so many different dynamics, right, and situations that fathers have to deal with, based on their relationship with the mom, or if they're in the house or not. It's just your presence. If you could just show up just to say, hey, just checking on you, show up at maybe a school event, show up just to take them for a ride, to get some ice cream. Listen, it makes a world of a difference in a child's life, just to know that they can count on your presence. Yeah.
That's it. And even if you're working,
Yes.
dads, if you're working, just the time you get home. Like if I come home and I give my son 15 minutes,
Yes. Yes.
he is ecstatic. He is so
Mhm.
happy because he got 15 minutes with daddy. Preparing for our interview tonight. You saw it. He's sitting in here right by
Yeah.
me, just to be
Absolutely.
in my presence and have me in his presence. So that's what they need. That's why our children, especially our daughters,
Yeah.
especially daughter. I don't have a daughter, but that's why I meant especially our daughters in general. Daughters need their father's presence, their
Yes.
father's
Yes.
love. And oh man, this is so good, Cherry. So let
Yeah.
me ask you, Cherry, what does fatherhood mean to you?
Ah, man. Okay, so fatherhood to me, it means a father, whether let me see. I'll put it this way. It means not just having a title, because of an act, but it's about carrying out that role. And what I mean by that is being present in your child's life, being available, giving of your time, support, words of encouragement, being able to see that child through their development, and being there for them, being able to offer. To some extent, spiritual guidance, because I do understand not every good father is a spiritual father, but they're still good fathers
Mhm.
regardless.
Yeah,
But I think that's a great aspect or asset if they are spiritual and they are Christian. I think that's great to add to that whole equation. But Yeah, I would say it's not just owning a title, because there are men out there who have assumed roles as far as stepfathers,
Yeah,
and while the child is not theirs biologically, they assume the responsibility by helping to raise that child to the best of their ability, speaking life into that child. So fatherhood
mm,
is about being present, speaking life, being responsible and accountable, not only for them, but being accountable as a father.
yeah,
Yeah. So that would be my definition of fatherhood. Yeah.
yeah, and that's good because I'm a prime example of that. I never knew my biological father, but my godfather, Bishop James Moore, from Richmond. He raised me. Basically, he when
Wow.
after my grandfather's funeral, he grabbed me. He told my mom, "I got this one. I help you with this one. You take care of the others." And he raised me as if I was his own son.
Hmm.
And and to this day, people know me as his son.
Yeah.
And he was a father to me, and but he wasn't my biological father, but he
Yep.
was my father. That's the
Right.
father I know.
Yeah.
And you can be I like to call them bonus dads.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
be a father to someone, you could be a mentor to someone. A mentor is a father.
Yes.
You could be a
Yes.
mentor to kids and help raise a child without being a biological father,
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
because they need it. They need it.
Yes.
They need male figures. You see it in school.
Oh, all day. All
We
day.
see it in the workforce. We see it out here in society. And I said one day, I said, I believe that when the fathers shift, the world will shift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When the fathers shift and start being more present, then the world can shift because it's a father that sets all that in motion,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
that will change everything. If we have look at from government on down, the
Oh,
president of the
yeah.
United States, he's a father of our country. He's the
Yeah.
head of our country.
Yeah.
So everything that happens from the father, everything the father does, the father says,
Mm-hmm.
trickles down
Absolutely.
to everybody. Yeah. Good.
Absolutely.
So what's the best part of having a father
Oh, wow.
besides being spoiled and dead?
I know, right? But I think the best part for me is having that support and security. Yeah, that sense of protection and that sense of support. Um I didn't say this initially in my, discourse about how my father has been so influential in my life, but my father helped me to walk in my call. Although
Okay.
my mom, she is a preacher as well, but she also preached as I was growing up. My dad, prayed over me and prayed a pastoral call over my life, something I, first of all, would never have imagined him to do. Because just being a part of like our former denomination, while women definitely had the capacity and the free reign to preach, pastoring per se, as a woman was not necessarily kind of something that was typically done or implemented in that space. So for him to do that, it just meant affirmation.
Hmm.
And honestly, to be so honest with you, that is what kind of trickled over into my life, because I'm single right now, but that trickled over into one of my expectations. And I pray it's not a bad thing. I just pray it's not I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just kind of like my father was so affirming, and that security, those words of wisdom, his thoughts, how he saw me and thought about my preaching and my sermons. It just guided me. And so that was one of my takeaways. I said, when I start dating, I'm looking for that support. If you can't support me, you gotta go. That's all.
Yeah.
That's a negative, because I've had that support, and because of what I know God has placed in my life, I know that that's a necessity. So, security, protection, wisdom. I know I'm giving you more than one response.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay. But yeah, just again, that security, protection, that wisdom. He's awesome. He's amazing. Yeah.
That's good. You made a good point when you said that your father affirmed you. and that's one of your expectations for the guy that you date.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, because we are, as men, we're actually really taking over your father's role when we take. And I never really understood, watching marriages and watching weddings, I never understood what it meant when the preacher asked, "Who gives this woman
Yeah.
to this man?"
That's
I never,
powerful.
until I got married
Mm.
and understood it, because the father is giving her to you. Now it's your job to not be her father, but to take on that role. Is your
Mhm.
job. So he should be affirming you. He
Yeah.
should be supporting you.
Yeah.
He should be praying over you. He
Yes.
should be speaking into your life,
Yes.
as your husband, as the guy that you. And it should be speaking and affirming you when you're dating. I
Right.
think that's
Yeah.
something that, and God, dads, you need to teach your daughter that the guy they date should be willing to affirm her,
Right.
should be
Right.
willing to pray for her, should be
Right.
willing to speak up. Because if he's doing it before you get married, then when you get married, it's gonna be second nature. I tell singles all the time, you gotta become a husband before you become a husband.
Yeah.
You gotta become a wife before you become a wife.
Yeah.
So if you know that as a husband, you're taking the role of her father, you're stepping into that and you have to do things. So you need to find out what her father did. You need to meet her father. You need to find out. You need to find out how her father treated her, what her father did for her. How does her father, so that should be questions when you're dating. How's your relationship with your father?
Yes.
How's your father?
Yes.
Is he speaking into your life? So, oh, my dad speaks to my life every day. My dad calls me. My dad prays over me. My dad affirms me. So that lets him know, do I want to work,
Yep.
or do I want to bounce?
Listen, you're on it because that's what we as women have to do when dating. We consider how's his relationship with his mom. I was always taught like if he doesn't respect his mom, he's not going to respect you. And
Right.
so as a woman, and so it's the same. You brought that out that that is something for men to inquire about as well when they're seeking out a potential mate. It's like, okay, well, yeah, how is her relationship with her father? Is he really involved? And also, not trying to be funny, but that also shows, like you said, the guy that he got to step up. Like he can't
Yeah.
come lazy, just presenting anything, thinking that we're gonna just bite at that. No. um
Yeah.
like you said, that father figure really helps to prepare the way, to be honest with you, of what we as women will or will not. Now granted, it's a choice in the matter, but I'm just saying at least we know consciously what we will and will not settle with. Yeah.
Yeah, because talking to my wife before I met her dad, I knew what to expect when I met her dad. And she would say,
Yeah.
"My dad did this. When you meet my dad is this man." And then when talking to him and just knowing him before we got married, I'm like, okay, yeah. So yep. So I know what I gotta do, and I know how I gotta step up. And
Yeah.
and guys, it may not happen, right away. But if she knows that you are at least trying to do the things that her father did, not everything her father did, but
Right.
trying
Right.
to be the man that she looks up to, then she will respect you. And that's when women, now this is a word that I know some people cringe when you say it, and let me get it right when I say it. That's when she's willing to submit to you. And submission, I'm not talking about this is going into relationship talk. I'm not talking about bowing down, because it takes a stronger person to submit.
Right.
It takes a personal strength. When I say to submit, I mean just to come in with you and understand and allow you to be her spiritual leader. And that's part of it, man. This thing is going.
I,
It's
but
good.
you can't help but listen. And so, isn't that interesting from a woman's perspective?
Right,
That
right,
role
yeah,
can help but intersect into the dating life. Yeah,
it does, because, like you said, when you look at a daughter and her father, we gotta look at fathers. We're telling fathers what they need to be imparting in their daughters to make sure that your daughter Mary is a good man. I used to always say, I told my wife, and I believe I told some other people when, before Caleb was born, I said, I was afraid to have a daughter. I said, I'm afraid to have a daughter.
Mhm.
They said, why are you afraid? I said, because I know one day she's gonna run up and she's gonna meet a guy like I used to be.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that guy, I would, I'm not gonna say the word, I would hurt him. That's the guy. And so a lot of guys, but one thing I learned that if we treated our daughters right, then and we treated other people's daughters right, then we wouldn't be worried about that. And so I
Mhm.
think that's a good thing when
Mhm.
we go into. That's a good thing, guys. A good pointer for you. Ask them questions about dad. Hey, how's your relationship with your dad? What does your father do for you? Does your father speak into your life and things like that? And I think women, y'all should tell them this is
Yeah.
what my dad does for me, and this is what I
Mhm.
expect, and they'll let
Mhm.
you know whether they're gonna stay around
Yeah.
or not. Yeah.
I want to I want to hop on what you just said about the um expectation piece. That was just major, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. If by chance, because I want to throw this out there, sometimes, a father could see his, a father could have been there for his daughter, and then she, grows and she's a teenager, and then she's, a young adult, and she's not necessarily dating the caliber of men that he raised her to associate herself with. I'd like to offer words of encouragement. I mean, this may not be a one size fit all, but from one young woman to a father, I dated who I wanted to date, but let me tell you, that was not my end resolve. So
Mm-hmm.
the choice was the guidance, the scripture that says, train up a child in the way they should go. So
Mm-hmm.
what my father instilled in me, although I did not necessarily reflect that in all of my dating life, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still single right now because of what was instilled in me.
Mm.
Although you may not, fathers, you may not necessarily, for those who have teenagers or young adults as daughters, you may not necessarily see like, why is she hanging around with him? I don't like that. Again, we like to own our own authority initially, but you got, but you have to trust that what you have put in your daughters at some point, it's gonna click. Like, this ain't it. This is just not it.
Mm.
Especially with what the way, just kind of almost like the prodigal son. Why am I down here with the pigs? And my daddy got a mansion. Let me get up,
Oh,
let
right.
me go home. And that's what fathers do. The fathers make you rethink. A good father will make you rethink some possible decisions, and will call you to yourself to say, you know what, I deserve better than this. Mhm.
That's good. That's good. That's gonna go into our that leads right into our next questions. But before we do that, guys, I want you, if you're watching this, just comment. Let us see your comment. Share this with people that needs to see it, that you want to see it, and then ask us questions. If you guys ask us questions during the chat, we will answer your questions. We will talk with questions. We will comment on your comments. If that's what you say, I got an English teacher on here, so I gotta be careful what I say. Um, but let us know what you guys think. Give us those hearts, give us those likes. Let us know if you guys are enjoying it. But if you got any questions, just ask us in the chat, and we will answer your questions for you. So, talking about our next question, Charity. How important are a father's words to his daughter?
Oh, wow. It is the, if I may say, to some extent, it just plays a major role in there. I was going to say the sum total. It's not the sum total, but it is very close to how your child will, or your daughter will operate, how she will see herself. And if again the father is affirming, she will know who she is, and she
Mm.
will walk with confidence and boldness, and she won't settle. She won't allow just anything to come her way, or to try to hang around too long. But if those words are not there, if she doesn't hear, I love you, I care about you, you can do it, you can make it, you're going to be okay, or what's going on with you, how was your day, that could leave a void and will cause her to search again.
Mm.
It's like those words, to some extent, a father's words can help a daughter um, refrain from relationships that really don't suit her. And if she doesn't refrain from those relationships, she won't, it could help her to stay, it could help her not to remain in relationships that
Right.
don't suit her. So it's really a governance for how that daughter will live. Like I said, at this point in my life, because my father was so affirming, I mean, it just really shaped the trajectory of how not only I see myself, but how my future prospect, my future man should see me. Yeah.
Hmm. And
So
that's
yeah.
good because, we start speaking to our kids at a young age and we start speaking into their lives. And then we see the fruit as they get older. It's like a seed. You may not see the fruit right away, especially when they're young,
Yeah.
but you start to see it. You start to see the blades, and then you
Yes.
start seeing the stalk, and then you start seeing the fruit. I know I don't have a daughter, but I speak into my son all the time.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
start to see those little fruits and little things that he does as he gets older. But what I do, I have nieces, and I try when I have opportunity to speak to them. Speaking to my nieces, I speak to other young ladies that I see, friends that have nieces. Um, my friends that have daughters. I try when
Yeah.
I see them. Hey, Uncle Nate, listen, to Uncle Nate. I was talking to my pastor's daughter at church on Sunday. She about to go to college. I said, look, let me tell you, when the dude come up to you, this if he say this, run, and just like if you need, you got call Uncle Nate. If he say so things like that. But
Yeah.
it's important because our words follow our children into their future. Our words fall into life. Let me ask you, don't now when you get ready to do something, make a decision, you hear something your dad told you.
Oh, all day.
Yeah,
All
you hear
day.
something, a word of
Oh
wisdom
God.
that your dad
All
told
day.
you back in the day, and you be thinking, yeah, maybe I don't need to do that, or maybe I need
Mhm.
to do it like this. Or
Yes.
dad said this would happen if I do this, and this happened.
Yes. Yes.
And things like that. So as far, especially for daughters, especially for young ladies, those words are what she need to hear to make her feel beautiful. She need to hear her dad say you're beautiful. She need to hear her dad
Yes.
say that you can do it. She need to hear her dad say, you're valuable. You're
Yes.
worth more than just a one night stand.
Yes.
What
Yes.
you have is valuable. It belongs to the man you're gonna marry. You are a queen. You
Yes.
are favored by
Yes. Yes.
God. You can do anything, and a daughter needs to hear that, and needs
Mhm.
to hear that because it shapes what she receives from another man. If a father just always yells at his daughter and tells her she's gonna be nothing, then she's gonna find a man
Yeah.
that's gonna tell her that she's
Right.
be nothing, and she's gonna accept that from a man. But if a father, talks to his daughter with respect and firmness and authority,
Yeah.
affirms her, then when that man comes, you're an example of it. She will be single until she finds that man that's
Absolutely.
going to give her what she needs, which is what her father placed in her. So let me ask you, as as your father spoke to you and spoke to words into your life coming up, how is that shaping you and affecting you as an adult now?
Oh wow. Um, like I said before, definitely with so I'll I guess talk to or speak to where I am with life and ministry. He always encouraged me, telling me that I could do it, that I could whatever I was going to do, whatever the task was, whether it was college, whether it was work, taking a test. He always told me that I could do it, and so I believed in myself, and I still have confidence now. And there would be times, I mean, just there's nothing like a spirit-filled father. There would be times that I wouldn't say a word. I would be so frustrated on the inside, and he could see it,
Mm.
or perhaps he perceived it, and he would begin to pray for me. And I kind of consider myself a G. I don't like crying, or at least not in front of him. I don't, I don't know, but there would be times where I would be like, "God dog it, he got me," but it was what I needed, and so oh gosh, I really I know the importance of prayer because of my father. As a preacher, sometimes we get so caught up in I guess in preaching and in what we're doing that sometimes that spiritual walk goes lacking. If I know that may sound like, how is that so? But it's possible sometimes to do the work, and even though you're feeding yourself to some extent, you're not really giving yourself and giving God that full devotional time that's necessary for your own fulfillment and fullness in the spirit. And so it's because of my father that I know the power of prayer. I know the importance of prayer. That is not just about, as my dad would say, a good sermon, but the anointing that makes the difference. So just uh yeah, it has helped me now just to be strong and confident. And like I said, even with dating, I'm looking forward to who God has for me, because I'm expecting nothing less than what my dad has shown me. And I know this may be out of sync with, I guess, the question, but I wanted to add something to the last one,
Okay.
for fathers who may live away from their child, because there are a lot of fathers who their children live in different states. Um,
Mhm.
I just want to encourage those fathers to, this can still be done. The affirmations, words of encouragement, pick up just a phone call away,
Yeah.
just a phone call away, just a letter away, a card from the store or a handwritten letter. Just the simple things go a long way that can help build your daughter's confidence and character and level of a level of awareness, self-awareness for herself. Yeah, so I wanted to add that too. But yeah, just it has really shaped, even with what I know I'm called to do. Like, I know eventually, I'm going to go further in the ministry, I'm going higher. But I know, because my father always reiterated, my help comes from God, my reliance is fully upon God. So
Mhm.
it has shaped how I see life, and how I even to some extent, how I see my relationship with God. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's so important. And you said the last thing about how you see your relationship with God, and that's so important about how we, as Christians, Christian fathers, have to do. We have to show and be an example to our children about God's relationship with us, and so we shape our children's our relationships with God. Let my son see me pray for him. I let
Yes.
my son see me pray for my wife. I let my son see me pray for the family. Every morning we could do confessions, he and I. And
Yeah.
so by us letting our children see that and showing them that, then they will do that. And that sets an example for them. And like
Yeah.
sometimes, we get away from it. I know I did when I got to Norfolk State. I got away from it.
Yeah.
But I had to put no state in there because you mentioned Elizabeth City. I didn't want you to get away with that. Um, but yeah, it does. It shapes that. So let me ask you, what's the best piece of advice you've received from your dad?
Oh, wow. Hmm. I would say the best piece of advice that I could receive from my dad. My dad told me, in a nutshell, my dad told me to basically put God first, always trust God. Like, God would never lead me wrong. His Some of his major words would be, and whenever I was doing something, even when I would accept engagement, preaching engagements, what is God saying? He always brought the God focus back into the forefront, because it wasn't about, like, yes, you're awesome, Charity. Look, I know your gift. I'm proud of you, but is God leading you? And so
That's
that
good.
was like one of my major takeaways as being a woman in ministry, right? So, and being a child of the Most High, but just being a woman in ministry, I think about that. I think about, okay, did I really seek God about that?
Mhm.
Because I know that God will never lead me astray, or lead me wrong. Yeah.
That's
So,
good. That's
but
good.
that's,
Yeah.
mhm.
And so and that's a key thing, we teach our kids how to follow God's leading, and your dad taught you how to follow God's leading, how to
Oh
seek
yeah,
God, and how to know when it's God and get a peace about it, because a lot of fathers don't do that. And
yeah,
sometimes, because as fathers, a lot of times, a lot of fathers don't do it themselves.
right,
They don't seek God leading. They go off the hip and just how what they feel.
yeah,
Men can do that a lot too. Men can go off what they feel and
yeah,
what their emotions and the anger and things like that. When we need to stop, take a moment, seek God, and ask God uh,
yeah,
what to do. That's happened to me sometimes. He would discipline our children.
yeah.
My son flexed on me at 5
Oh
um,
wow.
one day, and I just like I didn't even think about to seek God for or what to say or the moment when I didn't realize he was playing. But my first reaction was, "Whoa, come here, let's get this done,"
Yeah,
And my wife sitting there like, okay. And she messed with me. I'm all emotional and mad. And she's like, I was like, okay, what we gonna talk about? What we gonna do? How we gonna handle this? And,
Right.
and so then finally he was playing, but I should have checked first, but I just went off the hip. So
Right.
sometimes we got, because what we say to our kids next could really uplift them or degrade, or not. I won't say degrade them, but
Yeah. Yeah.
put them down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had my interview last on this past Thursday. He said that his daughter came down the stairs one day with something to come on, and he thought, in old school terms, was skank. Not, I won't say skanky, but looked trampish. And
Yeah.
he looked at her and said, "You going to?" So I'm paraphrasing. He said, "You going to dress as a tramp?" And he said he saw the countenance on his daughter's face just drop.
Oh yeah. Because in her mind, he felt like he was calling her a tramp, even though
Yeah, and
that's what she
so
heard, though, even though that's not what he said. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and I'm glad you said that. And that's the key, because what they hear,
Yep. Yeah.
especially daughters, you gotta be careful what you say, because what they hear is you're calling them
Yeah.
that. So man, we could be like, oh, you just said to me, nah, man. I ain't like, but our daughters, when you say that to them, talk about that. And I know that wasn't one question, but talk about that, how a father's words really impact the daughter when he says things to her or
Oh
about her, how
yeah.
that affects her like that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I mean, and sometimes again, they will take and we will take, words out of context. We don't know how to break it down and say, oh, he really was saying, that this my outfit is inappropriate, as opposed to, because like you said, sometimes when you go off of that emotion, you're not trying to have a filter. Parents don't they don't have a filter at the moment. It's the first thing that comes to their mind, and you got to figure out how to eat the fish and spit out the bone. But oftentimes,
Right.
we as daughters, we eat it all and we choke because we like, this is too much to, to take in. But I will say this. That's the beauty of our relationship with God. That's the beauty of the word forgiveness. I guess to some extent, fathers and mothers, whoever, there can't be a time when you're afraid to say, you know what, that's not what I meant to say. I apologize. And
Mhm.
sometimes, fathers, and I'm not trying to veer away from what you're saying, but I want to speak to that because, okay, you slip up and you say, dang, that's not what I meant to say, or perhaps you did, but how did it make, that daughter feel? And so I think sometimes, depending on the generation, you can't be afraid to have the conversation and not feel like, well, I didn't have, when my parents said something, that was it. Well,
Right.
is that really beneficial for your relationship with your daughter? You do want to know how she feels about, what you just said, and if that offended her, and how did that make her feel,
Right.
so I think we cannot be afraid to have the conversations and not feel like they're not entitled to anything. It's that sometimes that mentality, that parental
Right.
mentality can get in the way of really allowing your daughter or son to be open with you about where they are with what's going on, because there's a reason why she was dressed that way, right? First of all, she thought it was cute. Okay.
Yeah.
Second of all, she was probably trying to impress her friends, or maybe perhaps some guy was around. She she wanted to turn a few heads, but but just simply the conversation alone would have, even if, because I will say this, not every conversation will permit the daughter to be pleased with the outcome, right? Or the son, right?
Mhm.
It could still be, yeah, we talk. So yeah, you're gonna go change that though. It's still inappropriate. So, but it's just a conversation of kind of breaking it down and not, making blanket statements that could kind of, like you said or alluded to, change or shift the daughter's thinking about herself. Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I alluded to earlier about the whole independence. Like, we at a certain point want to own our own. We want to claim and own our own authority, and we go through that stage where no one can tell us what to do, and you don't know you're outdated. You you just saying it because you're my daddy. You just saying it. I'm just saying there comes a time when you have poured, and you just gonna have to rely on the God that you have put in that child, or rely on what you just said, and just like, God, I need you to help me because she ain't listening to nothing else.
That could be hard though, because I know how I would feel as a father if my
Oh, it
daughter.
is. It was.
It's just like, do I let her go out here? That no, I'm sorry. You just gotta be mad with daddy
Right,
today.
right.
You gotta be mad. I need you to go up there and put on some jeans or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't want her to go out there and do it behind your back. You don't want her. You want your daughter to feel comfortable
Right.
coming to talk to you about things, about how she feels,
Yeah.
and probably do like your dad, go buy the weed for her, you know go with her dress shopping, just
Right.
see what she picked, because a lot of times as fathers don't ask their daughter question or get involved with their daughter's life, so they don't know what she's thinking. You don't know what type of clothes she's liking, because you never go shopping with her. You never take your
Right.
daughter on father daughter dates. You never go with her. You never sit down with her and look at the magazines, or let's look online, baby. Daddy want to buy you something. Instead of just giving her the money to go and get, say, hey, let's get
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
I want to buy you something. I want you to show me what you got. And if she afraid to do it with you,
Yeah.
yeah, you may want to check the wardrobe. But if she's like, okay, Daddy, oh great, 'cause she'll love that. Oh, my daddy wants to shop with me.
Right.
She might say, Daddy, I can't. But sometimes it's be like, oh, my daddy want to shop with me. Okay,
Yeah.
Daddy. Oh, how much? What's my limit? Hey, go for it. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's the getting involved
Yes.
part.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
want to add one more thing. I forgot to say this earlier, but as you were talking about just words of encouragement and affirmation, I want to also add that consistency matters.
Yes.
Whether it's in deed or whether it's verbalized, whether it's said or an action shown. And I'm gonna go back to my college years. So look, y'all, and this is gonna make you laugh. Okay, you can just be like, Lord bless your heart, Charity. So my first year of college, when we first got on the college campus, this is all new. I'm excited, kind of, not really, don't really know what to expect. My dad. So we're all in the car. It's my father, myself, let me see, my mom. Was my boyfriend in the car with me? I'm not sure. But we went to school. My boyfriend and I, we went to school at the time. We went to school together. But nonetheless, we're driving around. I think it was just me and my parents at the time. We're driving around. And I'm like, well, why do we keep driving around? My dad is slowing down by every church that he sees. I tell you, I was in that back seat livid. I was like, oh my God, like this is so irritating. Like, why? It does not matter. Like, I'm a go. So
You want
he
to make sure
wanted
you go
to
to church.
he wanted to make sure that while I was away from home, because I didn't have a car at the time, you're gonna find a church to go to. And then at the time, he was driving around saying, okay, well, this looked like a nice church, and this one, okay, this is a Kojic one right here. This will be good. He's trying I mean, but let me tell you, and talking about consistency. So I hope you all can just like connect this with whether it's words or actions. So not only that, so they had to leave eventually, right? And leave me on my own every Sunday morning. Where you going this morning? I said, I'm gonna watch Bishop Patterson on TV. This when Bishop Patterson used to come on BET.
I remember.
I used to say, I'm gonna watch Bishop Patterson on TV. My mama used to, Lord, I said, Lord have mercy, how you fuss somebody out? I mean, I'll be fussed from here to Kalamazoo, but do you know? I know it was God in the mix, and of course my parents. Do you know that by my first year, I didn't really go, kind of did the whole TV ministry. I went to church occasionally, with some
Mhm.
friends, but that second year, I started going to church. I started going to visiting different churches in the area with my friends. And then around that end of that second year, I started going back home to my church.
Okay.
And I hated, the way they went about it my first year. Some people are, let your kids live, and I'm not saying that this is the best way. I'm just telling you that, it actually had an impact on, yeah, my desire to, I need to go to church. Yeah.
Yeah, and consistency does that. I mean, being consistent.
Yes.
That's what fathers have to understand, even with sons, but especially with daughters, consistency, because they're going to look for a man that's going to be consistent. I have to be consistent with my wife and things I do, because my wife Keisha's going to call it out. If
Yes.
I start consistent with something and then I stop, I remember there was one time where I always pray over the family before I leave the house in the mornings.
Oh,
And there
wow.
was one time I didn't. And she reminded me that day, you didn't pray today,
Yep.
and it was because it's consistent. And so that women they want consistency. They want you to be consistent.
Yeah.
And daughters, if fathers are consistent with their daughters throughout their life, even when they're adults, then
Yes.
they're gonna the man you want. If you want them to marry a good man,
Yeah.
then they're gonna expect that man to do the same thing, be consistent. Now, if you don't want to marry a good man, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But so we have to be consistent. So a father has to be consistent in his words, a father
Right.
needs to be consistent in his actions, a father needs to be consistent in his presence. And
Yeah.
those things, I think if you do those three things, you'll be good. You'll be good to go. So Charity, one last thing. I want to give you opportunity to give one piece of advice to other dads out there as it pertains to relating to their daughters or about their daughters. So just go ahead, whatever God leads you to do.
All right. So my advice to fathers, I want to just let you all know that wherever you are in your relationship with your daughters, even with your sons, it's never too late to rebuild, to grow, and to fix and mend those relationships, even if they seem as if they're in a place where they can't be fixed. It's never too late. With God's help, those relationships can. Um, Gain the right position in the right place to where you both are benefiting from the relationship. I just want to encourage you all, even through that if you are in a good relationship, consistency matters, as we just said. Be consistent, be present. Oh my gosh, present via the phone, present with your physical body, present by sharing love, giving gifts, words of affirmation. Do that for your daughters, and I truly believe that you will see a difference in their lives. That your daughters won't search for certain things in another man that they would have received from you, because you would have already provided that for them. And so I just want to again encourage men fathers, excuse me, who may feel as though they're in a tough place right now. Seek God. Seek God for direction and for
Mhm.
help with how to guide your daughters, and how to talk to them, and how to love on them, and how to be there for them. And God won't lead you wrong. And God, be honest, be open, be transparent. And I believe that your daughters will give you that in return. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that, Charity. I thank you for your words of encouragement with Fathers tonight, for being on, for giving us the laughs. But before we go, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Just a quick 2 bar.
Okay.
Something. Just give us something.
Okay. All right. So I want to dedicate this to the fathers. I was just thinking because I knew it was coming. So I want to dedicate this to the fathers from a daughter, But this would be, I guess, symbolic of a daughter to her father. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me. Agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is God's will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. Yes, you are important to us. We need you to survive.
Awesome, awesome, guys. With that being said, I want to, as I do every time, I want to give you opportunity. If you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, give me the opportunity to do that right now. Fathers, daughters, everyone out there who's watching, if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you're not saved. I want to give you the opportunity right now. So if you want to receive Him, just lift your hands, touch your computer, touch your
Yeah.
phone. Just lift your hands and repeat these words after me. Heavenly Father,
Yes.
in the name of Jesus, I am a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come into my heart. Live through me and help me to live for you. Thank you for forgiving me and for saving me. In Jesus' name, amen. Guys, if you
Amen.
prayed that prayer, just send us an email at hello@kingdomrelationships.org. We want to pray with you. We want to help you get some materials, help with that walk. You have any questions, just reach out to us. Just hit me up, hello@kingdomrelationships.org. Um, Go to our website. New website is coming soon. So the website is keenrelationships.org. So if you go there now, it's not up, but we have a new website being developed. So it can come up soon. But you can go to our YouTube page to see these videos again. You can see them on our Facebook pages. Yeah, guys, we love you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know you were blessed. I pray that you were blessed. And if you have any questions, guys, reach out to us again, hello at kingdomrelationships.org, or reach out to us on our Facebook page. Charity again, sis. We thank you for being on tonight. Thank you for blessing us with those bars of sermonic solo.
Thank you.
I was saying it right. But guys, again, as always, until next time, be blessed and be victorious.
Amen.